Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Duos Gaming in our World of Tanks Spotlight series. Today I'm going to be going over the Object 277, one of the new Tier 10 Russian heavy tanks. The Object 277 was added along with the 705A, the K91, the Object 430U, and the new Object 268 version 4 on about last week when we had the major Russian tech tree update. So the Object 277 stems from the T10. So the T10 used to go towards the IS-7, which was moved over to the Object 277 line. One nice perk, if you had the T10 at the point when the 277 was released, if it was in your garage, you get the Tier 9 for the IS-7 line, which is the Object 257, and you get all the XP that you've already earned on the T10 transferred over towards the Object 277, as long as you have already researched the IS-7 like I have. So once they announced that they were going to release a major update for the Russian tanks, I rebought the T10 and started grinding it so that I could get the 277 once it released. And the first thing you can notice with the 277 is that it's very comparable with the IS-7. The Object 705A is a rear-mounted heavy tank, so it's very, very different from your normal Russian heavies. What does that mean for the 277? Well, that means this tank has incredible turret armor. The turret armor on this tank is comparable to the IS-7, so you won't have much of an issue there. And with the same alpha damage that the IS-7 has as well. So right now we're going up against the Moz. I tried to track him right there, and only damage is tracked doing yellow damage to it. So what does that mean? That means I've taken 2 shots so far and only hit critical damage. That's unlucky. But nonetheless, we're going to hide our lower plate from this Moz. The Moz is going to ricochet because the 277 has that incredible turret armor. And we're going to start putting this cannon to work. I noticed that penning the Moz from the front with normal shells is not going to be too beneficial for me, so I decided to take a shot at the E100. I just ricochet a shot from the Moz right there, off the turret armor again. Face hugging in this tank is amazing, just like if you were face hugging in the IS-7. But I'm going to be comparing this tank a lot to the IS-7 because it's just such a similar tank to the IS-7. It's kind of the same flavor of tank. The main difference, though, is that the Object 277 has a much better get up and go speed, horsepower to weight ratio, which allows it to get into those positions and be a better brawler than the IS-7. Really, on the Russian tech tree line, the Object 277 is the bridge of the gap, so to say, of the heavy tanks and the medium tanks. It's got that medium tank mobility. I really should have fired a premium shell there at the Moz's turret, but you live and you learn. The T95 comes up to try and help me out. And keep an eye on that T95 because he will make a definite reoccurrence in the rest of this game. I don't believe that Moz has penetrated me once. The only damage that I've taken is me ramming the Moz like an idiot. But I'm just ripping apart the E100 from the back. And I tried to shoot at the back of the turret there, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was lag or just poor aiming, but I completely whiffed that shot. I know that the Moz cannot pen me, and I'm not concerned about him at all. I'm more worried about the alpha damage on that E100 hurting my IS-4 or the other heavy tank right there, the T57 heavy. So this T95 decides to drive right into the way, and I'm not able to get another shot on that E100. I turn to him, slightly annoyed at him, but that's okay because we figure out later that he is actually lagged out of the game. I notice at this point there's nobody defending the west side of the map, so I'm going to need to turn around, use the mobility of this tank to get back there and defend the cap. I signaled to my team that I liked them to come back so they could help me out, and not a whole lot of them listen to me here. Most of them go off to the north, and they start getting ripped apart by the tanks that are fighting in the buildings in the center of the map. But you can see the power to weight ratio gets you up to speed really quickly. In the IS-7, I wouldn't be able to be this mobile. That includes the traverse speed on this tank, which is also better than the IS-7. And the cannon, in my opinion, is strong. Well, it's not even in my opinion. The cannon is stronger than the IS-7. It's got a higher penetration, as well as better dispersion, like you saw me hit the moving shot on that medium tank right there, which would have been more difficult if I was shooting in the IS-7. Granted, the Centurion Action 10 doesn't have much armor except for the head, and I whiff a shell into the ground there. That was some unlucky RNG. Now, the more that we look at this tank in the replay function, we can see that its turret armor is just fantastic. In the replay function, it doesn't show you the counter like it does in-game now for the newest update.
Enemies looking right at us.
But we'll see at the end of the game what the block damage was. That alpha damage has ripped apart the Centurion Action 10, and the IS-4 backs me up, finishing off that. So right now, my main worry right now is that Bat Chat. If that Bat Chat is able to get behind me, he's going to rip me apart. But at the same time, I know that I have to reset this cap, because none of my team is going to be able to get shots on the cap circle unless I go and reset it right now. Knowing that the Bat Chat's going to think I'm going to pop the hill over where I was, I move closer to the cap circle so I can use the impressive gun handling on this tank for Russian Heavy to take a shot on the 5120, and now I can focus on this Bat Chat. Unfortunately, the Bat Chat is ripping apart my T10. It was a questionable decision there for the Bat Chat to reverse back onto the ridgeline and take a shot from one of my heavies.
Enemies looking right at us.
But this 120 starts pushing up on me. I take a look over to the T10. The T10 goes down, and I take the 120 out of the fight. At this point, I'm like, okay, sounds like it's looking like a good game right now. It's 4 versus 2, and I make a rather bad mistake here. What I should have done is charge straight for the battle. At this point, I did not realize that the T95 was still AFK where he blocked my shot. So I decide that I'm going to try and take a few snipe shots from back here. I'm able to see the side of the turret of that 277, take a shot, and I ricochet. At this point, what I should have done is charge towards that 277. It might have changed the game. That's a little bit of foreshadowing, but we'll see what happens. They've still got a sharpshooter and the object 277 that's on full hit points. You can see the hit points of the sharpshooter right there. I'm surely believing that the sharpshooter won't be able to take out the T-57 Heavy and the IS-4, so they should be able to take out the sharpshooter. And we start charging forward towards the 277. I got to be careful about this 277 fight because I am at the disadvantage with my hit points, which means I have to outplay the 277. And that 277 takes out our T-57. At this point, I get a little worried for the team. Pushing up onto the 277. Able to get a shot in the side. Something I wouldn't have been able to do, well, maybe not as reliably in the IS-7 because of the dispersion values on that tank. The 277 doesn't seem to have half a brain, so he reverses back into my line of fire again, and now he is at the disadvantage on the hit point. What we should do here is load a couple premium shells, because I know that this is going to be a game-deciding factor right here. He takes a shot at me, knocks out my driver, I put him back into action. And at this point, I have to pen him twice, he has to pen me twice if he rolls high both times, and oh my gosh, I just shot a shell into his tracks, but luckily he ricochets me. So I'm going to have the next shell, and I'll be able to penetrate him here any second. There we go. 450, and then the sharpshooter starts pushing me. I get shot by both tanks at once, and I know this is a hairy situation, so I turn over to take out the sharpshooter. The sharpshooter falls, I turn back towards the 277, and he gets his shot off and takes me out of the game. And I was just cursing my luck at this point because that game would have been over if I wouldn't have shot the tracks of that 277. And at this point, it's game over for the team. The 277 doesn't want to go after the T-57. No, not T-57, T-95. and we just sit and wait for the game to end. It was a major heartbreak for me when I played this game. It was actually the first game that I had ever played in the 277. I had a decent crew on it because I was training it in the Scourge, which is a rather overpowered premium tank there. But we're going to cut back into the post-game stats and show you what the statistics were of this game. Alright, not a bad result. Even for the loss, I got the Ace Tanker, which was rather shocking for me because this was actually the first game that I ever played in the 277. And I got the High Caliber with 6,300 damage dealt and some incredible block damage at 3,300. So overall, what are my thoughts on the 277? I prefer the 277 over the IS-7. The IS-7 was one of my favorite tanks for the longest time. I used to play competitive with the IS-7 until the Super Conk kind of took the meta of that. And yeah, the 277 is a really strong tank. I'm looking forward to getting into the 705A, which is going to be comparable to the E100 with its cannon. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.